Hello, Maddie here. Maddie here. Maddie here. Maddie here. We are back again with another wonderful, lovely book for you. So I hope you are ready. We're talking about The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This book, I don't know if I've actually mentioned this on my channel before, but I now no longer buy books that I haven't read yet. All the books that I buy are books I've read before because I have bought too many books that have just turned out to be horrible. Anyways, this book was an exception. I bought this book because when I was in Paris, my sister was doing mission work in Manchester, which if you're Texan, which I'm sure all of you are, at least when this video is posted, maybe not later on, but for now, y'all are all Texan. Paris to Manchester is the same as Dallas to Houston, legitimately. It was like a $50 flight. It took like 45 minutes. It was awesome sauce. I saw her, I think, 2 or 3 times while I was there. I know I went up to her at least twice, and she came down to see me once. And at one point, we actually met in the middle in London. I took the train tunnel, and it was really cool because you get to see both the French countryside and the British countryside. And we met in London. Did a couple of really touristy things. We were only there for about 24 hours, but it was so much fun. And oh my gosh, would do again in a heartbeat. But there's this amazing bookstore there called, I think, Waterman's. What is it called? I need to know what. Waterstones. So I got it from this amazing bookstore in London called Waterstones, and it's multiple stories. I want to say it's 3 stories, but I could be wrong with that. But my sister and I went there, and I was like, well, I must buy a book while I am here. So I did. I bought this book and read almost the entire thing on the train ride back. The train ride was too short for me to get through the whole book, but I'm pretty sure I finished it like that evening or the next day. So that is how I acquired this book. And that's part of why I love it so much, because it's one of my, all my memories from Paris were awesome. And even my memories from England were also awesome. But it's just one of my, if I had to pick favorites, it's definitely up there. Getting to ride the Channel, Star, whatever, and getting to go to London and getting to meet my sister there and getting to go to an amazing bookstore. Also, the Twinings original store is in London, and we got to go there, and it was so cool. So cool. I wanted to buy just all the tea, but going to that bookstore was one of my favorites, and this book is awesome. So this book is about a girl called Brianna, and it's kind of confusing. Okay, not confusing. The beginning of the book is she just doesn't even know what's going on, because she is kind of adopted, kind of not. She's not 100% sure who her parents are, or one of her parents. She knows who her mom is, but not her dad. And then her mom dies or something like that. And she gets sent to a school where you're supposed to learn your passions. The thing is, you're supposed to learn your passions starting at 8 years old. And she comes in at 12 or something like that. And the 5 passions are art, music, dramatics, wit, and knowledge. Brianna stumbles around trying to figure it out. She eventually lands on knowledge, which is, it's really what you think of when you think of standard learning. It's, lots of history, some science. It's knowledge. It is knowledge about the world and topics, and being able to be asked almost anything and at least have an idea of what they're asking you. That's the one she settles on. And there's a night where they invite people to basically test you. And then ideally one of them will basically take you on as an apprentice. And she totally bungles it because, she hasn't been doing it very long, and she's not confident in herself. But she ends up getting the headmistress or somebody knows someone who is willing to take her on. And so she goes to this person, and they take her on and basically adopt her. And that is where the fun begins. So the concept of this book is that there hasn't been a queen in I don't think it's been centuries, but it's been a very long time. Multiple generations, there hasn't been a queen. And they live in a country that is 100% set up for it to be ruled by a queen. And by only having kings, the country hasn't been the way it's supposed to. A lot of things have been misaligned, and priorities haven't been where they should. They don't have a queen. And Brianna kind of accidentally gets part of the plot for the Queen's Rising. And she is sent undercover, because there's the North and the South, and she grew up in the South. It's very safe there. The North is definitely a lot more like in turmoil, and she gets sent to the North kind of undercover to figure out things and discover things. And I have two main things to say about this book. One, you do not know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Most of the things I read and most things I suggest are like super predictable. Like, this is going to happen and that's going to happen and this is going to happen, and then they live happily ever after. And you do get to the happily ever after, kind of. But the stages to get there, you won't guess them. If you guess them, then you're either a writer or like a psychopath. You're never going to guess it. But on top of that is, I made my little sister read this book, the one that was in Manchester at the time. I made her read it, and she was like, there were so many plot holes, it was basically distracting. And she's like, this didn't make sense, and that didn't make sense, and this didn't make sense, and that didn't make sense. I don't remember any of her plot holes. I bet she doesn't even remember them either. But if she read it, I'm sure she would remember. But I don't remember what they are. Part of that being, if I like a book, I like a story, I like characters, my suspension of disbelief, astronomical. Absolutely astronomical. I can look past so many issues and just enjoy the book. And this book is like that a little bit, because I'm taking my sister's word for it that there are like way more plot holes than I ever could have imagined. But it's really good, and it's really fun and really awesome. And I just, especially at the time of when I wrote the blog that went along with this, I really identified with Brianna because I did not understand where I fit in the world. I didn't know what my passion was, and I was very, very lost. It was, if I remember correctly, it was pretty early on into my first real HR job. And I just was, super lost and very overwhelmed and wasn't confident in myself and what I knew and what I was pursuing. And so I just extra related to Brianna. And so, it's one of those scenes where it's like, I'm not necessarily there now. Like, I really like my career. I know what I want to do with my career. So it's more of like the other things in life. Evan and I are getting older and kind of deciding what we want the future to look like, what we want to keep pursuing, what we want to start investing in now for, the rest of our lives, what we want it to look like. And because we know the decisions we make now very much affect that. I definitely understand that side of it more because, my career is, I don't want to say set, but it's like, I know the field I'm in. I know the titles I want within that field. I'm really getting the experience. There's not really any question marks there. But over all of that is just the courage to pursue the hard things. The courage to put yourself out there, to put yourself forward, and ideally not in the literal line of fire, but in the line of fire in terms of having a belief and a confidence of something, of someone, that you're willing to put yourself forward and be like, no, this is how it should be. This is what I want it to be. This is whatever, putting your money where your mouth is. All of the cliches. I understand that's kind of more of what I think this book can be, how it can be applied, because it's super fun. It's fantasy. It's got cool costuming and fun characters and mysterious, attractive characters. You're just like, who are you? Who are you? It's so cool. The reveals are incredible. They're so incredible. Oh my gosh, the reveals. Love it. My mind was blown the first time I read it. I was like, what is going on? I don't even understand, but I love it. But I don't know what's going on. So that's I don't even know if I'm making any sense. It's always interesting when I go back and edit my videos and I'm like, you made half of a point and then skip to something else entirely. I do that so much. So if you're ever watching my videos and either get whiplash, or you're like, did she skip something? No, I just talk all over the place. And so editing is literally the best I can do with how ridiculous I am of a speaker. It is what it is, I guess. Jumping all over the place with this. But this book is just, it's so good. It is so fun. Just as a fantasy novel, it is so fun. I love the world. I think it's really, really cool and incredible. But on top of that, with a lot of my characters, there's something you can apply to your real life. And with this one, it's just having the courage to, having the desire to figure out what you want to pursue, having the courage to pursue it, and backing up what you believe. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Not going to have much comments, but just as an aside, there is a sequel called The Queen's Resistance. I'm only saying it as an aside because you can 100% read The Queen's Rising as a standalone novel. If you don't read this book, you're not having a bunch of questions not answered. It obviously answers more questions and goes further into the future. And one thing that's cool is this book starts the same day this book ends, or it's like the next day. So that's something that's really cool about this sequel. But you can definitely read this as a standalone book, and it is still very, very good. This book, it's good. It was not as good. It's also way more difficult in terms of content. Like, because they're now in the thick of it, just a lot worse things happen. And so it's just a lot harder to read, but it is really good. I think the main character, Brianna, she shows a lot of courage and perseverance in this book. And she goes through things that I don't, even if I was in a fantasy world, I don't know if I could get through them the way that she does. But that is that for this book. It's amazing and wonderful. I love where I got it. I love where I am now and all the times I've gotten to read it. So I hope that you will pick it up, maybe find out what your passion is, even if it's not one of the 5. But I hope you enjoy it. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. That really, really helps me out. And it honestly just makes my day. It makes me really, really happy to get comments on my videos and just views in general. They really mean the world to me. It seems like such a small, simple thing, but it really means the world to me, knowing that even just a few people enjoy what I have to say. So I'd really love it if you would do any or all of those things to help support my channel and just help support me as a little itty bitty creator. With all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night, a great week, great weekend, great month, great year. I hope you have all the greats, because you are truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, bye. 再见。